Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. You can probably already tell what we're going to be doing from the title of this video, but we're going to be working on this Dodge Dakota RT pickup truck. And the reason being is we replaced the power steering rack. If you guys haven't seen that video already, I will link it down in the description below or up above here. You can check it out. But we've replaced the power steering rack. We've replaced pretty much everything on this truck. I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. All the bushings have been changed, brakes, we've changed the engine, we've changed all the suspension, the lowering kits, we've changed almost everything. But with that being said, we still have some things that haven't been replaced. So I was driving down the road and I noticed a clunking noise coming down by my feet area. And it was coming out of the steering wheel, and you could really notice it with the windows up and the stereo down, but I'll try to recreate the noise for you guys. It's a slop or play in the actual steering column itself. So if you can hear this, that clicking is coming from the intermediate shaft. So I know it seems petty, but that play makes a ton of noise when you're jittering down the road. I guess when the wheels are, going down the road, and you're just holding the steering wheel straight, that play in the actual steering assembly is making that jittery noise the whole time while you're just holding the wheel straight. So what I've identified it as is, if you look and you see, and I'll raise this up in just a second so I can really show you guys, and I'll show you guys the noise. There is a knuckle in there, kind of like a mini universal joint, and that has worn out on my vehicle. So I have a brand new steering shaft, intermediate shaft here. This is discontinued now from Dodge, but you guys are left with trying to buy it aftermarket. So this one in particular, let me get it out of the bag. This one here was only about $42 with shipping. So I am, obviously that comes with a bit of a risk on the quality of the product, but based on the last Dorman product that I just purchased, which is here in these boxes with tailgate latches, and where they said they were made, I don't think I'm gonna be any worse off, but I'll show you guys in a second. So there's a little mini universal joint right there that you guys could probably see. And that is what is worn out on my assembly. So this doesn't appear to be replaceable. Maybe somebody that's really crafty would know that you could replace this, but I don't see any C-clips or anything. It looks like it's kind of like a one-time pressed in deal. But that is what has play on my truck. Part of me has to beg the question, is there some sort of plastic roller pins or something, or like, needle cages in this? And with having the performance headers on there, if it melted that or put too much heat on it, I'm kind of wondering if that didn't happen. But I might end up putting some sort of heat shielding around this, like kind of like a boot, just to keep the heat off of this, because I don't want to be doing this twice. I've heard it's not that bad, but either way, why replace parts if we don't have to? It also comes with a new bearing to go through our actual firewall. So let me get this up on the lift. I'll show you guys where the noise is coming from, confirm it with you guys, and we'll get into the repair. All right, so we got the truck up in the air, and I'll try to show you guys this problem as quickly as possible. So you're going to see your intermediate shaft run right here, and this is the joint that's loose. So if you go like this, you hold one side of it and move the other, you'll find, in my case, that, hear that click? That's where the rattle's coming out of mine. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and remove this. So there's the bolt that connects it to your steering column down in there. So there's gonna be one pinch bolt there. There's gonna be the two on the firewall, and then there's gonna be the one that's holding it to the actual steering wheel. One thing to note is you don't wanna wreck your clock spring. So take your seatbelt, it's the easiest way, loop it through your steering wheel and back into your buckle, because you don't want this to spin on you and snap your clock spring in there when you disconnect it. So let's just get straight to the point, and we'll put this through first things first before we forget. All right, so we got our seatbelt buckled in, so this isn't going anywhere now. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what we got going on. It's kind of funny because obviously I got the truck in the air, but I can't fully open my door because of the lift. But you're gonna see right there, there's the bearing there, and there's the two bolts that go right through the firewall. So you see the nut. So this is actually part of the chassis. So we're gonna have to undo these nuts from this side. And then up here, if you look right there, you're gonna see this big bolt that goes through the actual steering column. So we're gonna loosen this one off as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of the ones that are inside here in the cab first, and then we'll go outside and underneath and disconnect those. There's one nut. And there is our other nut. Next up, we're gonna disconnect this. So it's a 15 mil and then a 13 mil on the other side. Okay, we got the nut off that bolt, but as you can imagine, if you guys have been following along for a while, that thing did not come off without a fight. So everything on this truck is cursed, I swear, but it's off. I did have to put a bit of PB blaster on it, but now she's disconnected at least, and we can go outside. Next up, I'm just gonna pop this off. So this bearing assembly should pop up. Might have to pry it or wiggle it a little bit because it might be mated to your firewall from a million years. But there you go. Now she's free and it's just a huge hole all the way through. All right, so underneath the truck, that is the other bolt. So it's gonna be another 13 mil head bolt that connects it directly to the rack, and I wasn't lying, we do have a new rack on this truck. So let's go ahead and disconnect that 13 and then we'll see what we got. And just like that, the 13 mil bolt is removed from there. So let's go ahead and try to wiggle this thing off and see what we end up happening. Okay, so mine seems to be coming off fairly easy, you guys, because maybe it's because I already gave it a bit of help with doing the whole steering rack not too long ago. But she is sliding off somewhat easily. I got about halfway off, but I kind of gotta slide the shaft into itself just to kind of shorten it because I'm kind of landing there. If I were to disconnect this bolt, which I might do, but I've done it before, it'd probably make a lot more room too. All right guys, so I'm just gonna zip out these two bolts on the front of the steering rack, and it's just gonna make for the steering rack to be able to just drop down a couple of inches and disconnect that coupling. You could probably try to, collapse the steering column up there and make it easier for yourself, but I think this is gonna be the easier way for me. Just zap these two bolts out and then all of a sudden it'll disconnect. So I'm gonna do it that way. I'm just gonna hit these two with the impact gun. Okay, and like I said, just like that, you guys, it is off. So that's my easier way of handling it, but however you guys want to handle it, all the power to you. So anyways, she's off. So now technically we should be able to, oh, you can hear it. That's the noise. So that's the noise I was trying to get out of this thing. So anyways, let's go back up top and we'll send the steering column back out. Okay guys, so going up top, I was gonna grab the camera and all I did was just touch it and it just pulled off the steering column. So it kind of just fell out, honestly. I'm not making that up. I just gave a slight tug and this thing came flying out. So anyways, that is the old one. Let's go ahead and we'll compare it to our new fake one, or whatever we're calling this replacement one. Okay, so side by side, first thing I notice is this one is extremely collapsed, but I guess obviously we can extend this one. So this has that grease fitting on there, which I'm guessing we can just slide this down, obviously, to where she's gotta go. So, because this is gonna end up coming down to here somewhere, right where that one is. But not a big deal, it's pretty much there, just like that. This one has more metal up a ways, but not too much difference there. But I'll show you guys the major difference, which is right here, which is that clanking noise, which you guys can maybe hear. Let me get two hands on and I'll show you guys. Hopefully you guys can hear that. Doesn't seem like much here, but amplified through the steering column ends up making it a little crazy. So that's the play in it right there. And then comparing the two here, I did hear some complaints that their steering wheel was off afterwards, and I do believe mine is going to be one of them. Let me grab the camera and show you guys why I think that. So starting from this end, you can see this is where the bolt goes through. So I've got those lined up same way, and you can see this little universal joint is in the same position. And as you work your way across, right here off the bat, the rotation that's in here, like where they put the pin through, as you can see there, it's already off a couple degrees here, but it's pretty close, right? But then once it gets here, this is where things get different. So from there, we're looking pretty good, right? We're looking okay. It's about the same angle. And then this is where things get a little strange. So where this is welded to there is not the same. So you can see this one is laying almost flat, whereas this one is rotated up. And then by the time you get over here, this one's laying almost flat. This one is rotated. So it is a little different, but she does look like she's gonna work. If you look at this, also, it looks like they mimicked it pretty good. You can see the bolt hole from the factory one's not perfectly in the center, and it does look like they tried to mimic it on this one as well. So I think we should be okay there, but I do think our steering wheel is gonna be off a little bit. And if I go flat on here and then we work our way here, you can see that this one's rolled over quite a bit, while this one's straight up and down. But I was expecting to get alignment anyway, so I'm not real upset about it, because I wanted to get a good alignment now that we've got all the drop and everything on there. But just keep that in mind that your wheel unfortunately is going to be off with this, because this only goes on one way. You can't do anything different with this. It's splined the one way, so you can't, you know, change it off by a couple teeth here to correct your steering wheel. You might be able to do it at the wheel, but definitely can't do it here. I'm pretty sure the wheel is indexed as well. So let's go ahead and get this thing on. One last thing that I'll note on the difference is, see this plastic collar? I was wondering whether to transfer it to the new one, and you can see here that that plastic collar would originally ride inside of here, and you can see how dirty this bearing is. Whereas the new one has an actual lip there, you can see the seal. So this one is gonna try to seal itself right there on those ridges, which it has on both sides. So we'll put some grease in there, obviously, but obviously you can see that one, the bearing's falling apart and it looks crusted up and nasty. So we don't need to use this collar, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So let's go. All right, so I got this packed full of grease. I'm gonna go ahead and hang this thing first before I slide the steering column up and in. So I'm gonna hang this in, and I'm not gonna tighten the bolts, but at least so we can thread the needle through. Let's go ahead and put those 13 mil nuts on with this. Also do want to mention that the wheel still stayed straight, which is what you want, and the seatbelt did just that. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put our little bearing in place. So you can see it's obviously in here, and now we're going to connect it up to our steering wheel, which is here. So we'll bring it up and we'll try to get our bolt in, make sure that we can in fact get this in. I've heard some guys have to adjust the bolt hole, but hopefully that's not us. Find out in just a second here. Okay, so it does appear that our bolt's gonna go through without any issue. It's nice and snug, so we'll go ahead. I'm gonna throw the nut on it, but I'm not gonna tighten anything down yet until we get the top and bottom all situated. Okay, so here we are down here. I'm gonna remove this bolt. I prefer the factory bolt, honestly. If I had an option, I'd probably get the factory intermediate shaft, but as you guys know, it is not an option because they are all discontinued. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm probably gonna have to put my steering rack back a little bit to where it should be, because this thing is way out to lunch. And since this intermediate shaft moves a little nicer than the last one, probably be a bit easier. So as you can see, things are slightly off, so I do have to turn this a little bit probably to get this to line up. Okay, so here we are. Kind of had to move the wheels a little bit to get this to slide on, but she is going on. And there we go. So it's on, it's down. I can put my bolt back in now. So like I mentioned, it is going to be off, guys. Unfortunately, it's kind of what we're left with these aftermarket parts. Maybe, honestly, you guys, if you guys want a quick true answer, this was only $42, or you can spend $250 or so on a Dorman unit. That might be better, or it might be like this. So we're putting our 13 mil bolt in, the factory 13 mil head bolt threads in beautifully, just so you guys know, if you're trying to keep things factory like me. So that's loosely on there and threading. Now I'm gonna put our steering rack bolts back in, and we'll torque these back in. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this pinch bolt up here, and then we'll tighten this next. All right, so she's obviously down on the ground, and we can unbuckle our seat belt like I was mentioning originally to you guys to hold everything in place. So obviously we're done with that, and there you go. No more annoying rattle in the steering wheel. Everything's tight. Only thing, like I mentioned, is the steering wheel is going to be off a little bit. So it looks like if I were to put my wheels straight, it's a little bit off for sure. So nothing crazy, nothing in alignment can't fix, but it's definitely going to be off. So, but I was waiting to put this in so I could finally get my alignment. I did get an alignment, but not one as good as I would have liked to. So the last place didn't adjust all the camber and caster, which obviously you need to do. So they were not able to do so for whatever reason. They just set the toe and go type thing. So wasn't really too happy with that alignment, but I want to get a proper front end alignment on this thing now that everything's tight, right? We got the new rack, got the new intermediate shaft now. All the ball joints and everything are in good shape. It's got all Moog parts on the front end, so we're good to go. And now everything is going to be tight in the steering. So obviously it's off, but we got that new replacement part in there, and we're going to be all set to go. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up for me. It does help support the channel and this video so others can see this video. Also, if you guys are interested in truck related or any car or automotive related stuff, definitely hit that subscribe button so you're notified of all latest videos when I post them. And we're posting videos almost daily, so you guys don't wanna miss it. And all the products and everything that we used, including that intermediate shaft that I picked up for about $42 with shipping at the making of this video, I'll link that down in the description below. It seems to work. Fitment seemed okay, but we've got to go for alignment, but we're going to do it anyways, so I'm not mad about it. So if you guys have any comments, questions, leave them down in the comment section below, and we'll see you guys on the next video.